In this episode, we are going to make cloud productivity tools feel much less confusing by looking at them from the support side instead of only from the user side. Many people think these tools are simple because they open in a browser or install like a normal app, but support becomes more complicated once accounts, shared files, subscriptions, and syncing all get involved. A user may say their document disappeared, their email stopped working, their files will not sync, or their shared folder will not open, and the real cause may not be the app itself at all. It may be the user's identity, the license attached to the account, the way the device is connected, or the sharing rules around that file. Once you understand how cloud productivity suites depend on identity, licensing, synchronization, and collaboration, the problems start to look much more organized and much less like random software failure. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at CyberAuthor.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A good place to begin is to understand what a cloud productivity suite really is. It is usually a group of connected tools for things like email, calendars, documents, storage, meetings, messaging, and shared workspaces that depend on an online account rather than only on one local computer. That means the user's experience is shaped by more than the device sitting in front of them. Their work may follow them across a laptop, phone, tablet, and browser because the service is built around the account and the cloud platform behind it. This is helpful because users can keep working from different places and different devices, but it also means support work changes. A technician is no longer helping only one machine. The technician is often helping the connection between a person, their account, their permissions, their license, their files, and the device is trying to reach all of that information at the same time. Identity is one of the biggest ideas in this topic because cloud tools usually begin by asking who the user is. A person may think they are simply opening email or a document, but the service is first trying to confirm their account and decide what that account is allowed to do. That is why support problems often begin with sign-in confusion. The wrong username, the wrong saved account on the device, an old password, or a second personal account mixed in with a work account can all create problems that feel much larger than they really are. A beginner technician should think of identity as the key that opens the rest of the suite. If the account is wrong, everything else may look broken even when the platform itself is healthy. Good support begins by confirming which account the user is actually signed in with, which account they should be using, and whether those two things truly match. This matters because many users have more than one account and do not always realize how much that changes support. A person may have a work account, a personal account, and perhaps an older school account or a previous employer account still remembered on the device. If the cloud suite opens under the wrong one, the user may see missing files, missing email, missing shared folders, or the wrong calendar. From the user's point of view, the cloud service may seem to have lost data. From the technician's point of view, the more likely explanation is that the user is looking at the wrong identity. This is one of the most common beginner support lessons in cloud tools. Before assuming data is gone, confirm whether the user is in the correct account and whether the device is still holding onto an older sign-in that keeps pulling the application toward the wrong workspace. Passwords and sign-in protection also affect support because cloud services are usually more strict about identity than many older local applications were. A user may be locked out because the password changed, because they did not complete a verification step, or because the platform detected a sign-in that looked unusual. Multi-factor authentication, MFA, helps protect accounts by asking for more than just a password, but it also adds another point where users can get confused. A person may have the right password and still fail to sign in because they do not have the second approval method ready. This can frustrate users, especially when they are in a hurry, but the technician should remember that the added step is not a random obstacle. It is part of protecting the account that now controls email, shared documents, chats, calendars, and other important work. Supporting cloud tools well means helping users understand that identity security is part of access, not separate from it. Licensing is another major support issue because having an account does not always mean having the right to use every feature the user expects. Many cloud productivity suites are tied to subscriptions or assigned service plans, and different users may have different levels of access based on what the organization bought for them. One user may have access to desktop applications, larger cloud storage, advanced meeting features, or special security options, while another user in the same organization does not. To the user, this can feel unfair or broken because they may compare their screen to someone else's screen and assume everything should match. A beginner technician should understand that licensing is often the reason features appear, disappear, or behave differently. If a tool is missing or a service says the user is not entitled to use it, the problem may not be installation at all. It may be that the account has not been assigned the correct license or that the license changed. This is why technicians should not think of licensing as a billing topic that belongs only to administrators. It affects daily support in very practical ways. A user may install an application successfully and still be unable to activate it. Another may sign into the suite but find that storage limits are smaller than expected or that a collaboration feature is unavailable. Someone else may lose access after moving departments or changing roles because the assigned service plan changed behind the scenes. These are real support issues because the user usually experiences them as broken software. The stronger technician learns to ask whether the user has the correct subscription rights before spending too much time chasing device settings. When the account and the license do not line up, the application can look damaged even though the real problem is simply that the user has not been granted the level of service needed for the work they are trying to do. Synchronization is another place where cloud productivity tools help and confuse users at the same time. Syncing allows documents, notes, email, and other work to stay updated across multiple devices, and when it works well, it feels almost effortless. A file edited on one laptop appears on another. A calendar change made on a phone shows up on a desktop. A message read in one place is marked as read somewhere else. This is one of the main reasons people like cloud suites, because it removes much of the old idea that work lives on one computer only. At the same time, support becomes harder when users do not understand that syncing still depends on network access, account health, and enough time for the service to catch up. If any of those pieces break, the user may see different versions of the truth on different devices and assume the whole system is unreliable. A beginner technician should learn to ask whether the problem is local, shared, or synced. If a user says a file is missing on one device but visible on another, that points toward a sync problem rather than true data loss. If a calendar event appears on the web but not in the desktop app, that may mean the app is not updating correctly or the wrong account is connected there. If the document exists nowhere, the issue may be different again. This simple way of thinking helps a lot because it separates device problems from platform problems. Cloud suites often give the impression that everything is one single system, but support gets easier when you break it apart. Ask where the item appears, where it does not appear, and whether the problem follows the user account across multiple devices. That tells you whether the trouble is tied to one app, one device, one sign-in, or the broader service experience. Shared work is another major advantage of cloud productivity suites, and it is also one of the biggest sources of confusion for new users. People can work together on documents, calendars, folders, and projects more easily than before, but that only works well when the sharing rules are clear. A user may think they sent access when they only sent a link. Another may think a coworker can edit a document when they actually only gave you access. Someone else may expect a file to be private because it is in their folder, even though that folder is already shared with the team. These are not unusual problems. They happen because collaboration tools make sharing feel easy, and when something feels easy, people often stop thinking about the rules underneath it. For technicians, this means many support calls are not about broken software. They are about mismatched expectations between what the user thinks was shared and what the platform actually allowed. Permissions are therefore a central part of support for shared work. A file or folder may exist and be healthy, but the user still may not be able to open it, edit it, or share it onward. The difference between owner, editor, viewer, and guest access matters a great deal. One user may be allowed to change the content while another can only read it. One person may be able to invite more people while another cannot. These differences are useful because they protect work from careless changes, but they also create support questions when users assume everyone sees the same options. A beginner should think of collaboration permissions as the rules that shape what shared work feels like. If those rules are too open, users may change or remove things they should not. If they are too tight, normal teamwork becomes frustrating. Good support means understanding the permission level the user actually has instead of assuming the application is wrong, because the user cannot do what someone else can do. Version confusion is another very common support issue in shared cloud work. Several people may work on the same document, and one user may think their changes disappeared when the real issue is that someone else edited the file later or the user was looking at an older local copy instead of the live shared version. Cloud suites can reduce version chaos, but they do not remove human confusion completely. A technician should help users understand whether they are working in the current shared copy, whether they saved something offline, and whether the app is fully synced with the service. This is especially important when users move between a browser version and a desktop version of the same tool. They may assume those experiences are always identical, but small differences in timing, cache, or sign-in state can create confusion. Support gets much easier when you teach users to think carefully about where the live version is and whether they are editing that version or a separate copy. Offline work adds another layer because cloud tools are often presented as if they are always available everywhere. In reality, offline use depends on what content was already available on the device and how the app handles temporary local work before it can reconnect. A user on a flight, in a hotel with poor wireless access, or in a building with unstable internet may continue working and assume everything will merge perfectly later. Often it does, but sometimes the path back is less smooth than the user expects. The technician should understand that cloud tools still need to bridge the gap between local work and later syncing. If the device never reconnects properly, if the account signs out, or if there are multiple versions waiting to sync, the user may end up unsure which copy is the most current. This is not a reason to distrust cloud suites. It is a reason to support them with realistic expectations about what happens when the network disappears and returns. Identity and collaboration settings can either simplify support or complicate it depending on how well they are planned. When an organization uses clear account rules, consistent sign-in methods, sensible license assignments, and well-managed sharing permissions, support becomes easier because the system behaves predictably. Users know which account to use, which files belong to their team, which tools they are allowed to open, and how to share without exposing too much. When those things are inconsistent, support becomes harder very quickly. Users end up with personal and work identities mixed together, licenses do not match job roles, shared folders have confusing access levels, and technicians spend more time untangling who should have what than helping people do real work. This is a very important beginner lesson. Many cloud support problems are not caused by the cloud itself. They are caused by messy identity and collaboration choices made around the cloud. A simple support flow for this topic helps a lot. If a user reports trouble, start by confirming the account. Then confirm whether the correct license and service level are assigned. After that, check whether the problem appears on one device or all devices tied to that account. Then look at sync behavior, especially if the issue involves files, email, or calendars appearing differently in different places. Finally, if the issue involves shared content, check permissions and sharing settings carefully before assuming the document or folder is damaged. This order works well because it follows the way cloud suites are built. First, the person must be known. Then the service must be available to that person. Then the device must connect correctly. Then the content must sync. Then collaboration rules must allow the action the user is trying to perform. When technicians think in that order, cloud support feels much less chaotic and much more manageable. By the end of this episode, the main lesson should feel clear and useful. Cloud productivity suites are powerful because they connect work across devices, users, and locations, but that power depends heavily on identity, licensing, synchronization, and collaboration settings. The right account matters because the wrong identity can make files, email, and shared work appear to vanish. Licensing matters because features and access depend on what the organization assigned to that user. Sync matters because content must move correctly between the service and the user's devices. Collaboration settings matter because shared work only feels simple when permissions are clear and appropriate. When beginners learn to support cloud tools in that order, they stop seeing every problem as general software failure and start seeing the real moving parts underneath. That shift makes support calmer, faster, and much more accurate for the kinds of work environments people rely on every day.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.